Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on the Chav Gimel Amud Beis, 12 lines from the top. Until now we've been discussing the Trumas Hadeshen. The Kohen separates some ashes from on top of the Mizbeach that was from the korbanos that were burned from the day before, and he then separates them and puts them on the east side of the Kevesh, whereby the ground of the Azar would miraculously absorb those ashes. There's also something called Ohitzas Hadeshen. When there's so much desh and so much ashes that accumulate on the Mizbeach, the Kohen must remove those ashes outside to the outside of the Machaneh. The Gemara then brings now a Brayso in conjunction with Hoitzas Hadeshin, Tanu Rabbanon, Uposhat V'lovash Begodim Acherim. He takes off his clothing and he wears other clothing. V'hoitzi es Hadeshin, and then he does Hoitzas Hadeshin. Says the Brayso, Shomani Kederach Yom HaKippurim, Shepoishe Bigdei Kodesh V'lovesh Bigdei Chol. I hear, like the way of Yom HaKippurim, the Kohen Gadol, he changes from his golden vestments to his white vestments. So over here too, then the Kohen Hedyot will take off his 4 Bigdei Kahuna, and he'll wear Bigdei Chol. Tamuloy mar uposhat as begodov v'lovash begodim achirim. Here it doesn't have to say the word begodim twice. It says he takes off his begodim and he wears new begodim. Gemara explains, makish begodim shaloivesh levagodim shepoishet. We make a hekesh, a comparison to those begodim that he took off, those begodim, those vestments that he's going to now wear. Ma lahalon bigdei kodesh, just as the one that he took off are Bigdei Kodesh, the Daled, the 4 vestments that the Kohen Hedyot wears. Afkan Bigdei Kodesh. So too, here we're talking about the 4 vestments that he uses when he then does Hotzas Hadeshen. In Cain asks the Brayso, Matam Uloyma Acherim. Why does it state that he wears Lovash Bigodim Acherim, which implies that they're different Bigodim? Answers the Gemara, Pechusi Mehem. He wears those Bigodim, those 4 vestments that are Pechusim mehen, meaning to say they're of lesser quality or they have been a little bit worn out. Those are the ones that he wears for Hotzas Hadeshen. Since he's going to get those clothing dirtied, soiled, therefore he puts on these Pechusim mehen. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer. Rabbi Eliezer argues and says, Acherim v'hoitzi. He learns that Acherim v'hoitzi teach me something else. Loi made ala kaihanim bale mumin sheksherim l'hoitzi hadeshen. That says Vahoitzi is referring to that it's the Acherim, the different type of Kohanim who normally cannot do the Avodah because they're Balei Mumin. Over here, they can do the Hoitzas Hadeshen, and therefore those are it's referring to over here when it says Acherim Vahoitzi. But according to Rabbi Eliezer, indeed he would take off some of those 4 Bigdei Kahuna. He'll only wear 2 Bigdei Kahuna. Omar Mar. The Gemara brings the first opinion, Acherim Pechusim Mehen, that it refers to the same Daled Bigdei Kahuna, but they are ones that are of lesser quality, that are more, let's say, worn out. Kidetan de Rabbi Shmuel, like that which the Beis Medrash Rabbi Shmuel taught. Why did the one who's performing Hotzas Hadeshen wear those Bigdei Kahuna that are of lesser quality or those that are worn out? Because the Tana, the Rabbi Shmuel, begodim shebishel behen kedeira l'rabbi, lo yimzog behen kois l'rabbi. It's not appropriate for the same clothing that the servant uses to cook for his master. He should go ahead and serve him a glass of drink. Certainly, he has to then wear clothing that are going to be of appropriate when he then goes ahead and magish the oichel or the drink to the master. So too over here, when it comes to Hotzas Hadeshen, those begodim become soiled. They become maybe even smelled up from the ashes, and therefore would not be appropriate for the Kohen to wear the same Daled begodim that are of equal quality than he does when he does the Avodah. Reish Lakish says the same machlokes that we find between Rabbi Eliezer and the Tanakama Gabe Hoitzos Hadeshen is equally a machlokes by Trumas Hadeshen. Rabbi Yochanan Omar machlokes b'hoitzo aval meharom madivrei kol avodahi. Rabbi Yochanan argues and says when it comes to hoitzo, then there's a machlokes Tanakama Rabbi Eliezer. But Trumas Hadeshen, that's an avodah. and therefore, of course, even Rabbi Eliezer agrees you have to wear all 4 big day kahuna. Ask the Gemara, my time of the Reish Lakish, why does Reish Lakish say that the machlokes is equally true in regards to Trumas Hadeshin? Or Marloch, Reish Lakish would say, if indeed the Trumas Hadeshin is an avoida, then why does the Torah state 2 begodim? Can you do an avoida with only 2 of the 4 big day kahuna? Elamai must not be avoida, just like the Hoitzos Hadeshin. Rabbi Yochanan Goli Rachmana Biksun Soines Ube Michnosayim Huadin Lemitznefes Va'avneit. Rabbi Yochanan says when the Torah writes in regards to the Trumas Hadeshin, the 2 begodim, it mentions the Kesoines and the Michnasayim. It's only a gilui. It's only to reveal that lav dafka those 2. It also includes the other 2 begodim, namely the mitznefes and the avneit. So of course he wears all dalet begodim when he does the Trumas Hadeshin. Umayshna midoy bad. So why does the pasuk in regards to the Trumas Hadeshin mention v'lo hakoyin midoy bad? He wears midoy bad. Why not just say ksoines? Midoy kimidoso, to teach me that the mido should be the midah. That means that the ksoines, the tunic, should fit the kohen. It should not drag on the ground and it should not be too high on his legs, but rather should be just right. Michnesei bad. Why does it say michnesei bad? Like it says in the Brisa, minayin shelo yehi davar kodem milchasayim. Whether or not nothing is worn before the pants, the michnesayim of the kohen. Shneimar says michnesei bad yilbash al besoroi. It says that the michnesei bad will be worn al besoroi. So that comes to then emphasize that yilbash al besoroi, masha, that he wears this while he's still naked before he then wears anything else. Reish Lakish midai kimidasoi. Reish Lakish says that's true. We learned the word midai that teaches me it has to be fitted, the tunic. Mida'afke rachmona beloshem midai. B'shalo yehei davar koydem lochasayim. Where do I know that the kohen cannot wear anything before the pants? Me'al besoroi nafka. From the fact it says me'al besoroi. The Gemara says, Neima Kitanoi. Let us suggest the machlokes between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan in regards to whether Trumas Hadeshin is an avoida or not, is a machlokes tanoim as follows. Al Besoroi, it says that he wears the Michnasayim al Besoroi in regards to the avoida of Trumas Hadeshin. Ma tamulor mar yilbash. Why does it say yilbash? L'chora yilbash is superfluous. Lahavi, to include mitznefes va'avneit leharama, to include these 2 begodim, that all 4 should be worn during the harama, during the Trumas Hadeshin. The Rabbi Yehuda, that's how Rabbi Yehuda learns. Rabbi Doiso Omer LeRabbois Big Day Kohen Gadol B'Yom Kippurim Shekshem Lohem LeKohen Gadol Hedyot. This comes to include, he learns a Gzer Shav Yilbash, just like the Kohen Gadol is Yilbash, the Big Day Kahuna on Yom Kippurim, and he wears those 4 garments when he does the inner avodah. So too, the Kohen Hedyot can wear those same 4 begodim during the rest of the year, even though the Kohen Gadol cannot wear it after that Yom Kippurim. Rabbi argues with 2 refutations against Rabbi Doisa. Again, Rabbi Doisa just said that we learn from here that the Kohen Gadol can go ahead and take those 4 big day kahuna that he wears in the inner avodah. That means when he does the avodah in Kodesh Kadashim, and although he cannot wear it again afterwards, but the Kohen Hedyot can wear it throughout the year. 2 refutations, says Rabbi. First of all, Chada da avneita shel Kohen Gadol lo zehu avneita shel Kohen Hedyot. First of all, explains Rabbi that the avneit of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim is made out of pure linen. The rest of the year, his avneit is made out of shatnez. The Kohen Hedyot's avneit during the rest of the year is also made out of shatnez, wool and linen. So therefore, says Rabbi, it cannot be that the Kohen Gadol's avneit, which is one of the 4 begodim, can be used by the Kohen Hedyot the rest of the year. And further, begodim Shemameshes bohen kedusha chamura tishtamish bohen kedusha kala. Can those 4 big day kahuna of the Kohen Gadol that were used lifnai v'lifnim inside the Kodesh Kadashim, can those be used by a Kohen Hedya when he does the outer avodah? So why does it teach me Yilbash? Says Rabbi, to explain on top of Chav Dalam and Aleph, l'rabois es hashchokim, to include those begadim that are worn out. It can't be tattered, it can't be with holes, but if they're a little bit worn out, they can still be used. The Gemara brings another brisa, parenthetically, v'henicham sham. It states in the end, in regards to the Kohen Gadol, that when he's done with those begadim, v'henicham sham, he leaves them there. What does that refer to? Melamed shetun and geniza. This teaches me, says Rabbi, that they require geniza, they have to be permanently stored away. Rabbi Doisa Oimer Ru'uyin Hein LeKohen Hedyot. They can still be used for the Kohen Hedyot. I with V'hinicham Sham, then teach me. Umatam Lomer V'hinicham Sham Shaloi Yishtamesh Bon Yom HaKippurim Acher, that he cannot use it, the Kohen Gadol, for another Yom HaKippurim after this Yom HaKippurim. Now the Gemara comes back to explain how this machlokes, l'chora, is the machlokes between the Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, as follows: My lab v'hakam mifli. Is it not in this that they're arguing, meaning Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Doisa? The Mar Savar Avoidahi, Umar Savar Lav Avoidahi. That Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's Avoida, and Rabbi Doisa holds that's not Avoida. Rabbi Yehuda holds that's Avoida, therefore Rabbi Yochanan goes like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore the Trumas Hadeshin is Avoida. Whereas Rabbi Reish Lakish, who holds that's not Avoida, goes like Rabbi Doisa. The Gemara says, Loi. You can explain that that's not the machlekes. The kuli alma really avoidai. Even Rabbi Doisa holds that it is avoida Trumas Hadeshin. And the machlekes as follows: V'hocha b'hocha miflegi mar savar tzricha krol rebuye. Rabbi Yehuda says that since it only states 2 big day kahuna in regards to Trumas Hadeshin, it states the ksoines and the michnasayim. So you might think that's not avoida. Kamashman, it says yilbash, to be megala, that you need to then wear all 4 begadim. Whereas Mar Savalot Tzricha Kol Rebuya, but according to Rabbi Doisa, it does not need the fact that it has already 2 big day kahuna, Michnasayim and the Ksoines. That itself is already a gilui that it is avoida, and you wear all 4 begadim. So why does it say Yilbash? Only to teach me a Gzeir Shav Yilbash, to teach me that the Kohen Gadol, although he cannot himself wear the 4 big day kahuna that he used in the Kodesh HaKadoshim for another time in the Yom HaKippurim, but Shar Kohanim, Kohen Hedyo, could yes wear those big day kahuna for their avodah during the rest of the year.